The reign of Elizabeth I was one of the most transformative in English history, bringing about the consolidation of Protestantism, the defeat of the Spanish Armada, and the flourishing of the arts through figures like William Shakespeare. However, the Virgin Queen's failure to produce an heir led to a succession crisis upon her death in 1603, ultimately resulting in the Stuart dynasty taking the throne through James VI of Scotland, uniting England and Scotland under a single crown. If Elizabeth had instead left a direct heir, the course of English history might have been drastically altered. Had Elizabeth married and produced a child, the immediate impact would have been the elimination of uncertainty surrounding the succession. One of the defining anxieties of Elizabethan England was the fear of civil war or foreign interference due to the lack of a clear successor. A legitimate Tudor heir would have ensured continuity, strengthening the monarchy's stability and likely preventing the smooth accession of James VI. The question of whether Elizabeth's heir would have been raised Protestant or Catholic would have significantly influenced England's religious trajectory. Given Elizabeth's commitment to Protestantism, it is reasonable to assume that her child would have been raised in the Protestant faith, securing the religious reforms she had implemented and likely avoiding the reintroduction of Catholic-friendly policies seen under James I and Charles I. Politically, an heir of Elizabeth might have continued the Tudor tradition of strong, centralized monarchy. The Stuarts struggled with Parliament, leading to increasing tensions that eventually culminated in the English Civil War. A Tudor successor raised under Elizabeth's influence might have been more politically adept, continuing policies that balanced monarchical authority with the need for parliamentary cooperation. This could have delayed or even prevented the Civil War and the execution of a reigning monarch, as seen in the case of Charles I. By maintaining a stable relationship with Parliament, the monarchy could have retained greater control over governmental affairs, preventing the power struggles that plagued the Stuart reign. The matter of foreign policy would also have taken a different course. The unification of England and Scotland under James I altered England's priorities, intertwining it with Scottish affairs and creating new political and diplomatic challenges. Without a Stuart king, Scotland and England might have remained separate entities for much longer, potentially delaying or even preventing the Acts of Union in 1707. Furthermore, England's alliances and conflicts in Europe could have played out differently, as an heir from Elizabeth's line might have pursued different diplomatic relationships than the Stuarts, particularly with Spain and France. A Tudor-led England might have continued Elizabeth's policy of cautious engagement with European powers, avoiding entanglements that later proved costly. Culturally, a direct Tudor successor could have prolonged the Elizabethan Renaissance. While James I was a patron of the arts, the distinct Elizabethan identity and its associated cultural movement might have continued in a more unbroken fashion, influencing literature, drama, and music well into the 17th century. Writers such as Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe flourished under Elizabeth's reign, and with an heir who inherited her appreciation for the arts. This cultural explosion could have endured even longer. A Tudor heir might have expanded patronage for playwrights, poets, and architects, leading to even greater contributions to English cultural history. Economically, England under an Elizabethan heir could have seen a different developmental trajectory. Elizabeth's economic policies, including her support for privateers and trade expansion, had laid the groundwork for England's eventual rise as a global maritime power. A Tudor heir following in her footsteps might have further promoted naval expansion, trade monopolies, and colonial ventures, perhaps accelerating England's imperial ambitions. The economic stability provided by a clear succession plan could have encouraged continued investment in infrastructure, commerce, and technological advancements in shipbuilding and agriculture. However, not all alternate outcomes would have necessarily been positive. The lack of Scottish unification under a shared monarch could have led to prolonged border conflicts or even war between the two kingdoms. Additionally, the Tudor monarchy's history of instability in securing heirs, seen with Henry VIII's desperate attempts to produce a male successor, could have continued into the next generation, possibly leading to new succession crises. If Elizabeth's heir had proven to be weak or unpopular, rebellion or civil unrest might still have emerged, albeit under different circumstances than those faced by the Stuarts. Religious tensions could also have persisted despite the heir being Protestant. The question of religious tolerance would have remained a divisive issue, particularly with Catholic factions within England and Ireland. The Tudor approach to Catholicism was often harsh, and an Elizabethan successor might have continued strict policies against Catholics, potentially exacerbating tensions and leading to resistance. Without James I's relatively moderate approach to religious diversity, conflicts such as the gunpowder plot might have taken on different dimensions, or new conspiracies might have emerged. Another significant consideration is the impact on the British colonies. James I's reign saw the establishment of the Virginia colony, marking the beginning of England's expansion into North America. Would a Tudor heir have been as committed to colonial ventures, or would England's global ambitions have taken a different form? Given Elizabeth's sponsorship of figures like Sir Walter Raleigh, it is possible that her heir would have prioritized maritime exploration and colonial expansion, but the precise direction of England's empire-building efforts remains open to speculation. Furthermore, the legal and constitutional evolution of England might have taken a different shape. The Stuart monarchs' difficulties with Parliament led to an increased emphasis on parliamentary authority, culminating in the Glorious Revolution of 1688. Without the Stuart challenges to parliamentary rule, England's constitutional framework might have evolved in a more gradual manner. A Tudor heir might have sought a more balanced approach between royal prerogative and parliamentary influence, potentially altering the development of constitutional monarchy as it exists today. Ultimately, the presence of a Tudor heir would have altered England's trajectory in profound ways, likely reinforcing the stability of the Protestant monarchy and potentially preventing some of the upheavals of the 17th century. However, the long-term implications are complex, as they would have reshaped the nation's political, religious, and cultural evolution in ways that can only be speculated upon. While a Tudor successor might have provided immediate stability, the broader historical consequences of such a change remain a subject of endless historical curiosity and debate.